I've recently lost my uncle to lung cancer. I'm sure everyone here has had people in their lives dealing with cancer. And that really hit me hard and got me thinking, why with so many advances in technology, we still don't have a cure for cancer? And when we talk about artificial intelligence and how it's going to help, what people think about is doctors in a lab with VR goggles on and doing all this cool stuff, finding out cancer cells and treating them. Well, that may be the case, and there's been a lot of great work done already in molecule design, medicine design, and streaming data coming from clinical trials, but that's not what I'm going to talk about today. Today, I'm going to talk about the bedrock of clinical trials, which is causal inference or causality, and how advances in causality can help us find a cure for cancer, hopefully. So today I'm going to focus on the research part, what academia has been doing with publications, and not a lot from what industry has been doing. Causal inference. What is causal inference? It's the science of studying cause and effect. As you see, it's really important in clinical trials because you cannot really rely on correlation because these decisions are really important. Whenever we want to make a sensitive decision, causal inference comes into play because for policy making, you need to have a causal effect. You need to show that this drug is the cause that this patient got better. So that's why causal inference is needed. So it's a great mathematical concept, unfortunately not being used a whole lot. So what is clinical trials? Clinical trials has been used extensively in the past few centuries, and the concept is really simple. It goes back to the concept of randomized control trials, which is you divide a group of people into two groups or more, let's assume two groups, and then you give treatment to one group and you give nothing to the other group, and then over time, you see the progress between these two groups. And then if your treatment group progress a lot more, you can attribute the progress to that treatment. That's why it's been used a lot. That is the bedrock of the clinical trials right now. They give control group placebo, they give treatment group treatment, and they attribute to that. So this is the whole clinical trial industry has been based on this. And anything else, artificial intelligence has been basically streamlining data from after clinical trials from the sites. But this process is very lengthy. It can take up to 20 years. It's really expensive. It involves millions of dollars of investment. It involves thousands of people all over the world. You have to recruit patients to give them these drugs. So that's why a lot of companies don't want to invest in clinical trials because it's really expensive that they don't want to do that. So what if there was a way we could make this process go faster? And that's why causal inference comes into play, and all these fascinating theories in probability and statistics theory, it has really come together to shape the causal inference as we know it today. So in the past 25 years, a lot of attention has been paid to neural networks and artificial intelligence and technology. But at the same time, causal inference has had a lot of improvements as well. It's not, we don't have to rely only on having a randomized trial, having a control group and treatment group. We have a lot of data and we can do so many cool stuff with it, and we can infer causality from it, basically. So we have a solid framework that has been a lot of publications, a lot of great work, but mostly theoretical. But there has been some cool applications in other fields as well. One of those applications is the concept of graphical models that has been developed in the past 30 years. It shows causal relationships in a visual and simple way between different variables. And these variables can be from different data sets. And it provides very good advantages. There's a lot of problems this is solving. The problem of missing data, the problem of having noise or perturbation, working with time series data, and a lot more. This coupled with all the data that we have today, so from people involved in clinical trials, we have their medical history, we have their history of family diseases, we have information about their social lives, we have so many different data, and this causal framework, as we have today, should be used to gain information instead of starting over with collecting data. Why not incorporate these data into the current framework using causal inference methodologies? We also have algorithms and advances in technology that can help us in the process. We have neural networks, reinforcement learning, and so many of these great tools. Why not use them? Why keep using what we've been using before? The problem is there is a gap between industry and academia. They don't talk to each other. There needs to be collaboration. They need to bridge this gap, and they need to come together to find a better solution. It's not going to be just industry and academia. It has to be FDA and regulatory bodies and governments still supporting this. But once that happens, it's going to be a lot easier to perform testing on the drug if it's effective or not, and it's going to be more efficient and less costly, and more pharmaceutical companies will become involved in developing drugs. And once that happens, hopefully, we will one day have cure for cancer. Thank you very much.